Something very, very strange is going on at Fort Stewart, Georgia, and virtually nobody is talking about it. It seems as if the mainstream media and the powers that be are using tricks of language and algorithms to keep people from even looking up the basic details. 0200 hours, 30 March of this year, there was a crash. A UH-66 Pavehawk helicopter crashed into another one, and many people at the time thought, well, it was just a tragic accident and one life was lost. But now when you read the details, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. This is Fort Stewart. They share their airport with the little city of Hinesville up here. And the main headquarters of the unit that this particular individual was assigned to was up here closer to Savannah. And they rotate down here. They're an emergency dispatch unit where they go out with these helicopters and they do search and rescue. This individual was the only person, according to official reports, who was awake at the time both of these helicopters were destroyed. One individual was able to walk out onto the tarmac, fire up one of these helicopters, allegedly, I guess, get it off the ground and crash into the other. Some have made the allegation that it might have been some attempt at self-harm, that maybe this individual had some kind of depression and was attempting to end his own life. Well, they're releasing information now that would preclude that. You see, this reminds me of the story that was told in the Showtime series Homeland about a Marine that came home. He was captured. Nobody had known that he was captured. He just disappeared in combat. And he came home to a hero's welcome, but he had a different plan, a more nefarious plan. They are opening a criminal investigation into this, and that's key. They're looking into this now, not as if it were an accident or an incident, but now as a criminal act. A criminal investigation is underway. A source familiar with the ongoing investigation told Army Times the incident was not an accident. Now, UCMJ, Article 134, self-injury without intent to avoid service. They do not prosecute suicide attempts as criminal acts. Bona fide suicide attempts should not be charged as criminal offenses. So if they believed that this is, and I'll give you this link, it's mymilitarylawyers.com. If they believed that this was some type of a suicide, there would be no criminal investigation. In fact, this goes all the way back to 2013. Military courts have sidestepped ruling on whether suicide is a crime. It's absolutely not. They don't do this anymore. Now, if you do something to harm yourself to get out of duty, they can charge you, of course, but not suicide attempts. So the fact that they're looking into this as if it were a criminal event shows that they are precluding suicide. They don't think that what happened has anything to do with suicide. Now, there are a couple of resources I'd like to share with you. This is a channel, Eric Johnston, and he does a 90-minute, almost, well, it's 84 minutes and 19 seconds, walk around, detailed inspection and explanation of this exact aircraft, a UH-66. And what he describes here would also preclude this ridiculous idea of it being some type of a suicide attempt. This aircraft has different things on it to prevent pilots from dying in a crash. The struts on the main gear are designed to absorb an enormous amount of force. Even the seat that the pilot sits in has giant shock absorbers underneath it, so that if they hit the ground hard, all of that gets absorbed. The idea that this pilot would have thought that he could have ended himself by simply crashing one into the other, for sure, there's no way he would have done that. That wouldn't have been the choice. It would have never been a guarantee. There's another great resource here. Jared Owen is the name of the channel. How does a military helicopter work? It shows how difficult it is and how many steps have to be taken to get one of these things fired up. It's not like they show in the movies where you can just run out to the helicopter, put the key in the ignition and fire it up, and then, oh, the blades are spinning, but oh, here come the bad guys chasing us, and we take off just in time. It takes a while to get these turbines up to speed to where they could turn the blades of a UH-66 and get it off the ground. Even with a crew, there would be no way anybody could do this without alerting everyone. The details just do not add up. The entire flight crew, save one person, the entire flight crew, save one person, was totally asleep at the time, and they report this. Let's see here real quick. Captain Ballou was the only crew member involved in the incident, and he was the only one injured or killed in the incident. The initial indication is that all other crew members were asleep at the time of the incident. It is not clear how Ballou was able to start at least one helicopter, without waking the crew or otherwise alert others who may have been on or around the airfield, such as emergency services personnel or air traffic control staff. That should wake everybody up. You see, there's a lot of narratives here, but there's no way this was this guy trying to do himself in. There's no way. Because there'd have been no guarantee of it. Especially since the crash occurred on the tarmac, I'm assuming. Because if that's the case, I don't know how both aircraft could have been airborne with only one pilot, but it doesn't say that there weren't people that were non-crew members present. That's what they miss. That's what everyone misses in what they report. They're very specific with their language here, and this is what I was trying to talk about with folks over at Patreon, and we're going to do a much deeper dive into this. CID's continued involvement indicates that criminal activity is suspected in the crash. Let's read this again. Captain Ballou was the only other individual? No, only other crew member involved in the incident, and he was the only one injured or killed in the incident. Doesn't say that there weren't other people present, non-crew member people. The initial indication is that all other crew members were asleep at the time of the incident. But it doesn't say that there might not have been other civilians. And this airfield has both military and civilians on it. So this is starting to smell a lot like the Fitzgerald. It really is. They're using specific language, and in this case, they're being pretty quiet about this. But if this were, we hear about military suicides all the time. If this were just a normal military suicide, it would just be another statistic, and it would be just a blurb. They're hiding something. Part of me wonders if this guy was actually a hero. If maybe he noticed something, or he woke up, or he heard something that nobody else did, and he went out and tried to stop an event and lost his life in the process. And that might be what they're hiding. So, anyway, I will leave it there, but if you want to join us over at Patreon for a more detailed conversation about this, where we can perhaps speculate about different things, about why someone would want to get their hands on a UH-66 Pavehawk, join us over at Patreon. Because there's a lot of things that that particular aircraft can do that not a lot of other helicopters can do. It's got some very neat assets aboard that would give the pilot the ability, a lone pilot, well, we'll talk about it over Patreon. I'll leave it there. $1 US per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year. Fully refundable first 90 days. No censors, gloves off, full and complete discussion, freedom of speech, just as it should be. I'll leave it there. God bless. Have a great week. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.